I'm walking on my way up to the church now, and yeah, I'm going to try and explain bit by bit the links that link this place to the Templars and why the vault could possibly be here and what they had could possibly also be here. And today, yeah, the sea, tidal sea level was kind of like showing us the old fact that this used to be a port, and that is number one, really. You know, in order for them to have got here by ship, you needed it to be a port with, you know, it had to be accessible by large ships, and it was. We know this was a port, and it's documented. During that period, right up to quite a lot later on. And if you followed my other stuff, then you'll know all the things to do with Beowulf, hard by the water on the headland, all that stuff, and the fact that there's a vault. And if it is this place, which I'm pretty sure it is now, then there was already a big vault here that had been used in the past by the kings of the past. This is important. They'd have known about it. All of the kind of royalty would have known about this vault back in the day. So let's start going through each bit, and there's number one, or number two even, so the port is number one. Number two is that part of the church was built at exactly the time of the Templars and the Hospitallers, alongside, see this whole tower. Normally they built that, and their vault was sort of underneath it, and you know, I think that's where we get, you know, a bank vault. They were the first bankers. And that bit at the end of the church, that also is built at the same sort of time. So here, finally, that porch was built a bit later on, and the centre is somewhere, I think, that was an old meeting place of Anglo-Saxon kings called Clofesho. I'll have to do a separate video on that. I've tried to explain a couple of times, but it's pretty certain again that this is Clofesho. It's been described as one of the most famous lost meeting places of the Anglo-Saxon kings. So, now let's get back to the Templars and why this place could possibly be the place that they came to. In fact, let's first of all show you where I think the vault is, which is here. I think, I'm not certain. Look, and also you can see the water has come right up to here today. So before all the kind of tidal sea silts ended up down there, this is quite steep, it's about 25 foot down there. That would have just been a body of water that you could have brought a ship right up to. I think this is what I'm standing on is an old Roman port wall. And this area here, there, is where the vault is. And I think there used to be steps that went down to it from here. Strangely, I think that this is one step there. And then if you keep coming along, you'd eventually end up being able to get down into the vault underneath the church. So that's where I think it is. That all links into a whole load of different kind of mystery stuff. But let's get back to the Templars. So they could have got here by ship. This was a church known to the kings of the time, and they were linked to the Templars and to the Hospitallers. Now, the Templars were absorbed by the Hospitallers. it seems like they were forgiven of their crimes on the actual, or what they were accused of, and then they were burned anyway because the king sort of like made the Pope do it. Just so you can see out here how amazingly high the river and sea levels are. If you have a look over there, it's flooded that entire plain out. And all of this stuff, that's flood defences right where the river is. So that would have, not even that long ago, flooded the entire basin here. But the silt has made it shallow in this area. Has come in these huge sea storms. But yeah, this was once the end of the sea channel, basically. So they come here by boat. They've come from France. They possibly decided to come here because it's literally directly across the channel, safest. If they've got all these incredibly important things, then it's much better to kind of like get them into safety quickly rather than risk a longer sea voyage right up to Scotland. It also is a great ruse to confuse the king as to where they've been and gone. Now let's go around to the front, because we actually have evidence here that the Hospitallers were here. So let's have a look at this. This is the list. I don't know if it's still up here, I hope so. But there was a list of all the rectors of this church, and it was on this front thing here. I hope it's here. Yes, it is. So this is the important bit. Rectors of St Peter Hamsey since 1147. So the Templars fled France in 1307. And if we look at 1306, you got this guy Peter de Molendonis. Now, that's really interesting because the Grand Master of the Knights Hospitaller, you can look this up, is someone called Rogerius de Molendoni. And then here we have a Peter de Molendonis. Now, it wasn't that common, and it's certainly not common amongst people that were wealthy and in positions of power in churches. So we can pretty much be sure that they were somehow related, especially back then. And it's 1306. So 1306, Peter de Molendonis, possibly the son or grandson or great-grandson of Rogerius de Molendoni, was the rector at this church. Okay, so they've got somewhere to go, the Templars. If they think, okay, I'm going to come over here, they know that this person's here and he's definitely involved in the orders of the knights. And the Templars were absorbed by the Hospitallers. Okay, so that's one clue, one really big clue. And then we know that the vault is here. Well, I do. And we know there are vaults under here, 100%. Next, we've got the whole kind of Rennes-le-Château mystery and the stained glass window and all that kind of stuff, and that is too obscure. But
Shepherdess, no temptation, to which Poussin Teniers hold the key. Peace, 681. By the cross and this horse of God, I complete this Daemon Guardian at midday. Blue apples.
What is interesting, Templar related, is on the floor in the bottom of the church is a tablet plaque. It's very small, and it's supposed to be for someone called Partington, but it sort of then has a date underneath it, and strangely it says JJ9J. Rather than there being sort of like, I think it's supposed to be 17 or 1971 or something like that, or 1791, but it doesn't say that. It says JJ9J. Clearly, you know, like, it very obviously says that. And that is interesting because if we do replace the J's for a 1, that gives us the year 1191, JJ9J 1191. And if you also now look up what happened in the year 1191, we find that Richard the Lionheart was sieging Acre at that specific date. that exact date. See the water again down there. So that is interesting. It's a curious connection. Like, why is that on the floor on a random little stone in a place with all these other little secrets that I kind of have been stumbling across? Just have a look at that gargoyle. He's amazing. They were like drainage spouts. Don't know if they still work. And the idea was, like, you know, the evil was outside, keep it out. And, you know, safe inside, it's safe in the sort of holy grounds. But yeah, you've got all of those different links and those possibilities. And it's, yeah, it does seem to me like even just those things are enough to kind of like make it interesting. But when you then add in all of the Beowulf stuff and everything else that might have happened here, it becomes super fascinating, because it's like, seems very likely. There's also a Templar cross on the altar on the drawn plan of the area, the oldest plan. Used to be on the website, but the website's mysteriously gone down. Strange, huh? But yeah, there used to be a Templar cross, which funnily enough is right there. Just show you what a Templar cross is. That there is a Templar cross. That exact design. And it's funny because that's on like in this other video of the Y files, they explain that that is on like the pictures of like the Anunnaki and the Sumerians. It's quite interesting. He's wearing it as a pendant round his neck. But yeah, just on the oldest plan of the church, just behind this wall here, where at the time that plan was made, there would have just been 3 tombstones. Not an altar. There's a Templar cross on the, I mean, it's exactly a Templar cross directly on top of that area where those tombstones are. And I just thought of something else to do with that. That's right. So the in the Second World War, the Blitz occurred and the original temple church was destroyed in London. And the guy that rebuilt it was someone called Walter Hines Godfrey. And he did the entire architecture for that project. And he also did hundreds of different renovations around here. Tens, dozens. Hurst Monceau he did. But he just so happened as well, this is a guy who's linked to the Temple Church and the Knights Templar. He just so happened to build that altar that's in there, that's sitting on top of those tombstones. And extraordinarily, there seems to be some shadows on there that match up with the Shepherds of Arcadia tomb. Which I've tried to explain as well, but the fact that he moved that there alongside everything else I've just told you starts making this an incredibly likely spot. And then you just look at the surrounding areas. All these hill forts would have been up here. The king, Henry II, may be buried, or part of him may be buried in here. He's supposed to have been buried in Fontevraud Abbey in France, but I wonder if he was moved during the Revolution. As possible. And also some of the time they were split up, so like the harp were buried somewhere and their bones somewhere else. But yeah, we're just like, it's surrounded by royal heritage. Lewes, the Battle of Lewes was Henry III. Edward Longshanks was down here. He comes around at exactly that same time as well as the Templars and their escape from France. So yeah, who knows? You just don't know. But I'd say that this is one of the best possibilities for the treasure being than anywhere else. Or at least some of it, or one of them. And who knows if it's been left here or not, you know, or moved subsequently. Who knows, but I bet it was here at one point. Anyway, I hope you've all found that interesting. Maybe this is the time now where people start really understanding and taking it seriously.